Welcome to this weekend edition of The Chiefs. I'm Ed Lingao, and also with us, Lucy Cruz Valdez, the head of News 5, and Robbie Lampay of One News. Chiefs, good evening, happy weekend, and welcome back to that jingle.
Oo, good evening. Sabihin ko nga, bilang Pilipino na jingle pati ngayon. Talagang umpisa na. Oo,
Ulit, di ba?
Talaga.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, the circus is in town. The filing of the COCs has started, and you know, a lot of old news, but also a lot of new news. Di ba? Some were expected filings, and some were not expected filings.
Tsaka ang daming old new sons.
Oh yeah, well, except for one. Except for one.
except for one. Oo,
Yeah, yes.
historic.
Who
I know.
unfortunately passed away just a day or
Yes.
two ago.
I know.
But he has made his
Siya pa
mark in
naman
Philippine
yung-
history, if you
Oh yeah, he has, right.
you might put it that way. Okay, but anyway, we begin tonight with the Buhay Party List Congressman Lito Atienza, who is now also Senator Manny Pacquiao's running mate as Vice President for the 2022 elections. Good evening, Congressman Atienza, and welcome to the Chiefs, and good to see you again because I just saw you a few minutes ago in the other show.
Good evening,
Okay.
sir.
Good evening po.
You look very familiar, Ed, without your funny
Without my
jokes.
face mask.
Oo. Dahil Bok, mawalang galang na sa'yo dahil total, nakasama niyo na kanina sa wagpo si Congressman Atienza. Kung pwede ba, pambungad na tanong sa akin.
Sige, go.
Kasi walang galang na po, total, sumaba kayo dito. I wanted to ask you something controversial. Para tingnan natin ang sagot nyo. This might cost you some votes. Okay lang po ba?
Sige. Kaya ako nandito.
Grabe naman. Nakaka-suspense yan
Ano pa, ano?
Umpisahan po natin ang-
And the round of applause.
So, umpisahan natin sa controversial, masalimuot, Congressman Atienza. So, bakit naman po lilipat ng kapuso si Kuya Kim?
Hindi masalumuot yan. Simple yan. Alam mo, ang feeling ni Kim, ano yan talagang ardent media, television professional. Dinidibdib niya yung kanyang profession. Talaga namang nalubak ng matindi ang ABS. You know that. Nawala yung network nila, nabura yung kanilang giant status. Yung kanyang career path, talaga medyo nalubak din. After 1 year, or more than 1 year in fact, palagay ko pwede nang nag-isip-isip siya, where am I going in my present position? Meron naman opportunity with the biggest network today, GMA network. So, hindi mahirap decidihan yun. Nag-decide Kim, maybe even contrary to his emotional attachment to ABS. Very emotional to si Kim.
Okay. Maraming salamat po. Yan ang kandidato sumagot, dire-diretso. Di ba? Ika nga po ni, actually, kinonfirm niya na po. Hindi pa nga yata kino-confirm ni Kim pero maraming salamat po. But,
nag-goodbye na si Kim
hindi, pero wala pa. Anyway, ika nga po ni Kuya Kim, back to you, Congressman. So, kayo na po ngayon pag-usapan natin. Bakit po? Nagulat po yung mga tao dito. Matagal na po ba pinag-uusapan to? Parang may nabasa ko kanina na last-minute decision to.
Nagulat ba kayo?
Ako
Sir,
po, nagulat.
mukhang pati kayo nagulat
Ako, nagulat ako.
Aminado ako.
Mukhang pati kayo
Ako
nagulat.
ang pinaka-nagulat. Ako ang pinaka-nagulat. Dahil rekomenda kung sino-sino. Ito, magandang material to. Ito, nakarim nito. Ito. Hindi magkatugma ang hangarin ng mga pinagkikita-kita Kagabi, talaga totoo yan. Tumawag sa akin si Manny, sabi niya,
Alas 11
tumawag sa
daw.
akin. At nagtapat siya, sabi niya, alam mo, as a result of my discernment, pagdarasal, pag-iisip, ay naisip ko, ikaw ang pinakamagaling na pwede kong makatandem. Sabi ko, alam mo, Manny, committed na ako sa iyo. Let's get somebody else who will, then I will be an addition. I tried convincing him. Pero talagang decidido na siya. Sabi niya, hindi. Bunga ito ng aking pag-iisip, pag-aaral. You know me very well, like the palm of your hand. I'm like a son to you. Yung mga ganong appeal. Wala na tayong pagtatalunan. Sabi ko, of course, Manny. And I'll do everything I can to explain to the people what kind of a man you are and what kind of a person you are. But I don't need to be your vice presidential tandem. Pero sabi niya, hindi. Are you committed to help me? Sabi ko, yes. All the way. Then you run with me. Para bang nawalan ako ng argument. Lahat ginamit ko na, pero talagang busy dito siya. Kaya kung meron nagulat dito, pinaka-nagulat ako. Dahil ako nagbibigay ng rekomendasyon, ako ang ginusto ng pinagbibigyan ko ng rekomendasyon. But I am happy because now that we have filed our certificates of candidacy, I feel now even freer to advise him on any matter pertaining to the campaign. And as he puts it, pag nanalo tayo, I need your advice. You are more experienced than I am. See, that's kind of a man he is. Hindi siya pretentious, hindi siya nagmamaang-maangan. You are a more experienced bureaucrat. Lahat dinaanan mo na, lahat. Except the Senate. Palagay ko patutulungan mo ako ng malaki. And true enough, I have to admit, marami akong may tutulong kay Manny na mga pinagdaanan kong mga responsibilities sa gobyerno. And that's the reason why I accepted it. I want to help Manny win and I want to help him administer properly so that yung kanyang panaginip na maunlad na Pilipinas ay mangyari. Yung Pilipinong masaya sa kabuhayan, mangyari. Kapag pagod na tayo sa kahirapan. I hope you're all tired also of deprivation, lalo na ito panahon ng pandemya, where we see government fumbling. Kulela tayo sa lahat ng bansa sa mundo sa pagharap sa problema ng virus. We are the last nation. There's something wrong going on right now. So we need a big change in government. And Manny is the man, to me, who can change all of this. That's why I'm committed to him. When he put everything in that manner, then you run with me. I had to accept the challenge. Now I'm running with him.
So, teka sir, di ba mukhang last-minute decision kayo ni Manny? Don't you feel that way? Na para bang wala na siya makuha, so kayo na lang.
Hindi naman ganun. It has never been pushed in that manner. Wala na akong makuha, kaya ikaw na lang. Hindi. Kung gano'n naman ang tingin ko, hindi naman ako papayag. Hindi. Merong mga talagang
Anong
reality.
latag niya? Anong latag niya sa inyo? Dahil
reality-
kayo mismo
reality-
nagulat, no? In other words, you didn't expect it yourself. So, paano niya nilatag in a way na tinanggap nyo at
Sinubukan lahat yung rekomendasyon ko. Kausapin mo si ganon, kausapin mo si Senator ganon, kausapin mo si Vice President. Walang nagtagumpay eh. Kaya sabi niya, ikaw na lang hindi ko nakakausap. I'd like to appeal to you. How do you take that decision? That's not last minute. I've never been offering myself. Neither have I been offered earlier. But now that we faced up to each other and admitted that there was a problem, we have to solve it. Wala yung mga orgulyo, last minute, ganito. Wala yan. Sa akin wala yan. I was complaining to Ed Lincao earlier. Sabi ko, I gave up the party leadership in the Liberal Party once upon a time with no reservation, no hard feelings in fact. Bakit? Sinabi ko sa faction ko, nanalo si Pinoy, Presidente, Liberal, lahat kayo lumipat na sa kanya. I'm going to dismantle the Atienza Wing, which I did with no second thought.
Congressman, speaking of...
Dapat self-sacrificing tayo. If we are sincere in helping the country.
Congressman, speaking of parties, you filed under PROMD.
PROMD.
What does that mean for the Pimentel wing of the PDP Laban?
It means that they are still in a squabble in the Supreme Court or COMELEC. It means that no one controls the present PDP yet. Meanwhile, filing na. So you have to make a decision. There is a reality of a coalition, an alliance from the PDP laban ni Coco Pimentel and PACQUIAO's party. And so binabuti nila na from di muna ang gamitin while there is this scrabble.
Yes, sir.
And ako naman,
Sir, what
I'll be
message
very
is that?
truthful. I'll be very truthful to you. Prompt advocacy is very, very acceptable to me. In fact, ganun din ang thinking ko. Development of the countryside is a necessary for national economic progress. You don't develop the countryside, we choke the urban areas, we will always be poor. Kaya yung from the program of government is acceptable to me, and I feel comfortable in pushing it if given the chance to be a senior officer of the government.
Yes, sir. Sir, a question I asked you earlier, but I'd like to push it a bit further, especially here in this venue. The last we heard kasi from the camp of Leni Robredo, she is still pushing for unity talks among herself, Isko Moreno, and Manny Pacquiao. And that was the last we heard from VP Robredo's camp. Now, we heard from you just a few minutes ago na according to Senator Manny Pacquiao, hindi tagumpay ang usapan nila with VP Robredo. Are we hearing it right? Talaga pong sarado na yung tindahan as far as the unity talks are concerned with Manny Pacquiao? And is that the reason why you're coming in?
I'm being open to you. The reality is it was a failure. The talks never succeeded, and there was no unity. Yan ang katotohanan.
And there will not be one, and there will never be one.
I hope, Luchi, that they wake up to reality that they should be self-sacrificing. Now, who will sacrifice? Tingnan natin kung sino ang talagang merong mas sinserong pananaw sa nangyayari sa bansa ngayon.
Ibig sabihin po, if we're reading into that, ibig sabihin walang bumibigay kung sinong tatakbong presidente.
Somehow, kaya hindi magkasundo. From the very start, it was doomed because everybody was angling to run for president and no one was willing to slide down to run for vice president.
Pero sir, VP
Pero
Robredo earlier said... VP Robredo earlier said herself, and also it was seconded by Kiko Pangilinan, that she is willing to run for VP again.
Well, there's nothing wrong reigniting the talks. There's nothing wrong with that. Up to October 15, November 15, we can replace candidates. So, kung talagang sincero sila, mag-usap sila.
But Congressman, is there any other way to read or to interpret what you're saying other than in the talks with Manny Pacquiao, Vice President Leni Robredo is standing pat na siya dapat ang presidente? Is there any other way to interpret that kung walang bumibigay sa kanilang dalawa?
Mahirap na talaga. Pag talagang ayaw ng dalawa, talagang hindi magkakasundo. We have to take into consideration realities in Philippine politics. One, public esteem, perception. Ano na ba nagawa mo? Bakit ka nagpupumilit pag presidente? Ano na ba nagawa mo para sa bayan? You should be able to answer that. Now, you ask that question to Manny Pacquiao, and he will rattle to you what I have done for the country and for the Filipinos in general. And for that, I'm giving him full credit. Talagang marami nang nagawa si Manny para sa atin. Giving the Filipinos pride and honor in the eyes of the world, he accomplished that. In helping the poor in his own private way, he has done that. In giving away thousands of scholarships to the poor people of Mindanao and Visayas, he has done that. Now, if you can compare notes, eto, nagawa ko mas sigit sa'yo, then maybe that man will have the edge to be given consideration. Pero ang problema nga, hindi naman yan ang pinag-uusapan. Ang pinag-uusapan dito, gusto ko tumakbo presidente, ikaw gusto mo rin. Hindi tayo magkakamayan yan.
Kayo po ba, sir? I'm sure tinanong kayo ni Manny kung ano ang opinion ninyo sa moves ng isang bayan na mag-unify nga sana, mag-field ng isang kandidato. Did you ever advise Manny to give way? Or were you one of those who told him to just stand pat, may laban ka?
No. Luchi, I think you've known me long enough. I've always stood for national interest. Ang payo ko sa kanya, unity is a must. Kailangan gawin ninyo lahat ng magagawa para magkaisa. Pero kung talaga hindi magkakaisa, hindi mo pwede ipilit yan. even if you twiddle on your head and attract attention, if the parties will not agree, then you will not unite. There's no reason to waste more time. Meanwhile, time is running out. And deadlines for submission is already going away. I mean, meaning being spent. Okay naman, mag-decide na ngayon. Kailangan mag-decide. Yes or no. I was placed in that predicament. I was made to decide yes or no. And after discernment and decision-making and prayers, I decided I have to offer myself to help money, even if I have to run, which I did.
What chance do you think you have? I mean, you're going to be
Well,
up
it depends.
against
Lucy, I will not rate
President
myself.
Duterte.
You
Yeah.
rate me.
Okay.
I will not rate myself. I have never rated myself. But I've always won my election. So, but I will not rate myself. You rate me. Let the people rate us. I was asked that question this morning. Aren't you scared you're running against the president? Why should I be scared, Lucy? No one should be scared. If your interests are genuine and patriotic sense is intact, you shouldn't be scared. He's the president now. But if he loses, he becomes the next president. Ganun lang yun. Hindi naman siya. Ngayon, sabihin mo sa akin, ang kalaban mo, hindi tao, demonyo. Baka matakot ako. Kaya natatakot lang ako sa demonyo at sa Panginoon Diyos. Pero sa tao, hindi ako matatakot. Maski na sino. Si Marcos, hindi ko kinatakutan eh. Nilabanan ko eh. Against the wishes of my good friends and cautioning a concerned friend. But I fought Marcelo, I fought Mr. Marcos, and won in EDSA 1. We made this dictator fly out of the country. Isn't that victory? Sabi nila, walang panalo. Pero,
Yeah.
pinalo ng taong
Yeah,
bayan.
kayo, sir, wala akong kaduda-duda. Talagang palaban nga kayo, no? And in fact, even against the Duterte administration, palaban kayo. But I didn't really quite see that with Manny Pacquiao as a senator. I mean, lately na lang siyang naging palaban
In the last few months.
nung kakandidato na. Yeah, pero all throughout his political career, he had been quite supportive of President
Lucy.
Duterte. So, saan kayo nagkita? Saan kayo nagkaroon ng common ground?
Hindi kami nagkahiwalay kailanman. Ako'y patuloy na humahanga din sa taong ito na nagpakita ng tapang, ng prinsipyo, ng dignidad, ng integrity. Saan kami maghihiwalay? Kung tama naman ang ginagawa ng Pangulo, bakit mo nang babanatan? Ako, pinuri ko naman ang Pangulo so many times. I've never just been consistently denouncing the president. No. When Duterte did right, I was ready to praise him. In fact, I gave him a standing ovation when he committed to remove the fish pens in Laguna de Bay. But he did not fulfill that. One of the broken promises. But my point is, hindi mo pwedeng husgahan ang isang tao on the basis of your own likes and dislikes and impressions and misimpressions. Manny has been consistently for the poor, consistently spiritual, consistently helping in any way. He has built so many houses, thousands of housing for the poor of Mindanao.
But Congressman, I mean, taking you up on that, no? Parang hindi naman sila na lahat. Like you said, yung iba sinusuporta kung feeling niya tama, yung iba hindi niya sinusuporta kung sa tingin niya. No? But one of the issues na hinaharap sa kanya is precisely the way the war on drugs was waged, the EJ case associated with it, the problem that it had with human rights, and so on. And very early on in his in the past 6 years, in the Duterte years, Manny Pacquiao was criticized as an enabler. He was criticized as somebody who stepped aside when people were talking about how the war on drugs was being waged, how many people were being killed, and human rights was being disregarded.
I will disagree with you because keeping quiet is not giving up. Prudence is not giving up. There are times when you have to be prudent. You keep quiet. You don't need to talk all the time and fight the president all the time. Pero kung mali, mali. Ngayon, sinasabi ko sa inyo, kulelat na tayo sa ating pandemic approach. Oh, you wanna keep quiet? I don't wanna keep quiet. I wanna talk. and complain. What is the IATF doing? What is the Department of Health doing? What are we doing as Filipinos? Are we allowing inabilities of certain people to destroy lives in the Philippines? So may panahon para sa lahat eh.
Yes, sir.
Salita, may panahon para lumaban, at ngayon nakikita mo na ang corruption laganap, hindi ka pa rin magsasalita. I'm happy that Manny Pacquiao started all of this. And when he started it, I heard the same word. Oh, why are you now speaking only now? Mabuti nga nagsasalita yung tao eh. When everybody's quiet then, now
Pero, sir,
everybody's talking.
Kayo nga po in the last 5 years, you've been vocal, you've been critical. But yun nga to Robbie's and Luchi's point, we haven't heard much from Manny Pacquiao until the last few months. And you know, like it or not, that's the run up to the filing of the COCs, which unfortunately casts a political shadow over his more recent declarations of critical declarations. So, ayun po, that's the way it is.
No.
That's the way it looks.
I will not agree that I've always been anti. No.
No, sir, we're not saying you're
Many
anti.
times, many times,
not about,
many times
Yeah.
I praise Duterte. When he's right, I did praise him. But when he's wrong, I denounce him.
Right.
si Manny Pacquiao.
We agree with you. No, but Senator Pacquiao has not been that way, sir. I mean, Senator Pacquiao
Well, I
has
don't blame
been
you. I don't blame you.
reticent.
If you don't like Pacquiao, I cannot change your mind.
No,
Would you?
it's not
No,
that we
you're
don't
very
like
liking.
him.
It's
No,
it's not about
no.
liking.
It's not
I
about
don't
liking.
It's not
him.
about
I
liking.
like him. Let's respect each other on that.
No, sir, just for the record, we're not saying that we
For
don't
the
like
record,
him. We're
I
just
like him, and
saying
for the
that
record, you don't seem to
Yes.
like him. Whatever I say, you will not counter anyway.
Sir,
we just want you to
I think
comment
this
on
has- I think we have
the
to clear
fact that
this, sir.
you're going to be running as a ticket. Yun lang naman, sir, because you're
No,
going to
alam
be
mo,
running
Luigi,
as a
sabi ko sa'yo,
ticket, di ba?
Sabi ko
So,
sa'yo, siguro mas kilala mo ako more than anybody else. Hindi ako natatakot na mawala ng boto. In fact,
Alam ko
I'm
yan,
ready to
sir.
retire. That's why
Yes, I
I'm speaking
agree.
like this for Manny Pacquiao because that is going to be good for the nation. I'm not going to hold my mouth simply because I'm running now. No, because kung tama si Pacquiao, I'll defend him to the hill. Pag mali siya, bubulungan ko siya, mali ka pare. Ganun
okay,
kasimple yun.
got that. Yeah, so in other words, even as a ticket, you may have divergent views. I mean,
Of
you can
course.
criticize and he may
Of
not.
course, that's
So,
exactly
hindi
what
ganon.
came from his own mouth.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
So,
Congressman,
that's all we wanted to know. I mean, you know.
Congressman, rest assured, I will respect your views all the time. Tama, sir.
Congressman,
Well, sir, just to be clear, those are not our views. I mean, you make it sound like
Yeah,
we're
yes.
against Manny Pacquiao. These are questions
We're
we're
not-
asking.
we're not, sir.
We are not propounding
No, very
assumptions.
clearly, Luchi, you are not for Manny Pacquiao. I can read minds, you know.
Sir, no.
Don't
Well,
make
you're
it-
reading
don't
wrong.
make it
You
loose,
are
sir.
reading wrong.
I don't
For the
mind, you don't
record,
like him.
you are reading wrong.
Anyway, sir,
Okay? This is not about
Yeah,
liking
If
or
I'm
not
wrong, I'm
liking.
wrong,
Teka
but
lang,
I'm
sige.
telling you, you don't seem to
sige.
like him.
Congressman, sige. We'll leave it to your opinion. Same way that you said, you will respect each other's opinion. If you don't mind, gusto ko lang pong balikan yung tanong ko kanina. And I will apologize kasi nung sumasagot kayo, naging choppy sa akin and I didn't really catch everything that you said. So I'll be more direct with my question. Yun pong hindi pagkakasunduan at yung pag-collapse ng talks, as you said, is wala kasing bumibigay. Diba? So I'll be more direct. Is there any other way to interpret this other than as far as Manny Pacquiao is concerned, Leni Robredo is running for president?
Well, I cannot judge them on their own intention. They may all have the best intention. But what I'm saying, hindi sila nagkasundo on the basis of their plans. Let's respect them at that. Inaibig ko sabihin not because Leni Robredo did not agree, will I dislike Leni Robredo? No. She has every right to do what she wants. She wants to run, go ahead. Let history judge you later on, whether you did right or wrong. Pero yun ang nangyari. Hindi sila nagkasundo.
Okay. Okay, Vice Presidential Candidate Lito Atienza. Sir, maraming salamat for joining us tonight and thank you for this colorful discussion.
Salamat, sir.
Maraming salamat
We'll
po.
see you again later,
Please,
sir.
and
We'll see you.
please tell Senator Pacquiao, I do not
I-
like him.
I hope you change your mind, Lucy, because you're one of those I
I
respect.
have no mind on it, sir, honestly.
Very
Just asking
clearly.
questions.
Di bale, naintindihan kita. I understand. One day, I will tell Robbie and...
Okay, sir. Maraming salamat po. Ingat po
Salamat
parati.
po.
We will just go into a break, so please stay with us.
Bilang Pilipino, bilang Pilipino.
Welcome back to Chiefs here on One News, and now joining us, Professors DINDO MANHIT, Attorney Tony Lavinia, and Professor Edmund Tayao as well. Sirs, magandang gabi, and
Yeah.
thank you for joining us.
Magandang
Always a
gabi
pleasure
po,
to have you on a
sirs.
Friday night.
Profs.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. Well, of course, today, the first day of filing, and it's in all over the news kung sino nagsampa ng kanilang COC. Pero I suppose the bigger story is sinong hindi pa nagsasampa ng kanilang COC. Ito pa yung talagang inaabangan ng mga tao. Of course, you're talking about Sara Duterte, VP Robredo, and
Robredo.
Senator Bongo. Let me start off, sir, with Professor Manhit. You've said even before pa na, for example, in the case of Sara Duterte, look at her actions more than listen to her words. Where do you think it's headed now? First day of filing, and mukhang may mga, if you follow Sarah's Facebook page, mukhang meron pang mga paramdam na dumadagdag.
I still believe that she will run. Part of the strategy is really just assessing when is the right time or finalizing with whoever the vice presidential candidate that she chose or she would choose. So magandang intayin. Madaming mga usap-usapan pa naman to until the final day of filing, which is
Isang
on
linggo
the
ba?
8th.
And don't forget November 15.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, and the substitution also. That could be part of the strategy, assessing who is could be against them or who are they battling. So a lot of strategic moves on different candidates.
Ano yan? Profs, ano yan? Nag-iintayan sila kung sino yung pipiliing VP ng isa? Ganon? What's everybody waiting for? These three in particular. Professor Lavinia and Professor Tayao, what do you think?
Well, I think it's the decision of President Duterte that's being hinihintay, no? Kasi I really believe that Sara is serious na kung tatakbo yung tatay niya, hindi siya tatakbo. At hindi yan dahil lang, di ba? Dahil alam niyang matatalo sila kung tatakbo silang dalawa. And the Pulse Asia survey might make a difference there kasi parang lumalabas na President Duterte will not win against Tito Soto. Parang, even if it's so early, di ba? But you can also already see the signs. Number one senator for all the elections, he's been running. very much alive, di ba? Coherent versus incoherent Duterte. Parang if Duterte were smart, he would not run for vice president. Talo siya.
Not only that, Professor, I want to interject here. Parang, I want to bring up another Pulse Asia survey na medyo nagulat, but nakakagulat, no? Where 60% of Filipinos believe it is unconstitutional for President Duterte.
SWS ata yun.
SWS ba yun?
Yes,
SWS, no?
Yes.
But that was rather
so that-
surprising. In the last surveys, people really didn't care about it. And then parang, it's a pretty nebulous concept for a lot of people to grasp, much less to take a position on. But this one was pretty clear. Is that a factor, do you think, other than Tito Soto?
Yeah, well, I think so too. Kasi parang talo eh. So it will really be stupid of them to do that. To do a Duterte, that will be stupid. For him to run for VP would be really just not Duterte quality of Duterte is very smart, very politically talagang tapos na sa game niya kung magpapatuloy siya. And that's why I think I agree with Dindo na baka tatakbo talaga si Sara because in the end the father will not run, di ba? So the question na lang is will Bongbong agree to be VP or will both of them run for president? Kasi para ding when you look at also the numbers and consistent din siya through the years din niya na consistent, the Marcos block is strong, no? Let's be very clear about that. Let's not be blind. The Marcos vote, it's not enough maybe to win for president or VP by itself, but it is a strong vote, di ba? And so baka in a field na maraming candidates, baka Bongbong might say I would be able to win. I mean, so hindi rin siya done deal in that sense. So at that point, I frankly think irrelevant na yung substitution strategy. In the first place, it's so risky. Paano yan kung si Coco Pimentel ang manalo sa na faction manalo sa COMELEC? Di patay, wala silang pang substitute. Because only PDP Laban candidates can be substituted. The other ones are not, di ba? Hugpong will not be, it's not a national party, so parang hindi siya pwedeng i-substitute ng So parang that foolishness will probably not happen anymore and we'll find out by the deadline next week na who will be the candidates.
So wait, so what are you saying, sir? Na pwede pa rin tumakbo si Sara?
I think Sara will run, President Duterte will not run. Kung rational pag-uusapan natin kung if they're rational and looking at the numbers, if the president is up to his usual, the usual game na nag-iisip siya, parang it would be very foolish for him to run, whether it's Bongbong yung kasama niya or Bongo. Bongo is not gonna win anything.
Numbers are yellow, no? Yeah.
Farmally. Yun lang. Bong will be, unfortunately, whether there's a basis or not, that's the tag around Bongo. Farmally. Everywhere he go, yun ang sasabihin ng mga tao, farmally.
Professor
Okay,
Tayo.
pag tumakbo si Professor Tayo, yeah. Pag tumakbo si Sara, and tumakbo rin si Bongo, I mean, okay, let me frame the question this way. VP Leni Robredo has said that it's so important for the opposition to unify because they want to be able to preempt, number one, another Duterte win, whether it's Duterte or some other Duterte person, or preempt a Marcos win. So what will likely happen or what can happen that will go against those twin objectives?
In the first place, Lucy, napaka-simplistic naman ng objective mo na wag lang panalunin si Duterte, no? So, kung yun ang objective, medyo mababaw para sa akin. And kanina yung pinag-uusapan ninyo with the VP hopeful former mayor dito Atienza, yung tinatanong kung sinong hindi nag-giveaway, actually ang hindi nag-giveaway diyan si Manny Pacquiao kasi nung una pa lang siya na unang-una nag-deklara In terms of numbers, nakita naman natin yung performance ni Senator Manny Pacquiao. So, especially if you're talking of VP Lenny, of course, hands down, has always been seen as the opposition symbol. And so, therefore, it's not logical for her to slide down as VP, considering she's also VP now. So, marami pa rin mga, but I've never doubted, and I'm sure, of course, Roby, you remember you've asked me this before. I've never doubted President Duterte will not run as a vice president. He's so astute a politician to not know and calculate that it's not going to be good for any administration candidate if he runs for vice president. And I've never doubted that Mayor Sara will run for president. It's just a matter of time that's going to file her candidacy. I mentioned before that during several briefings, President Duterte would always say, I just want to go back to Davao. So my fearless forecast is that either he's not going to file any certificate of candidacy or that he will simply go back to Davao.
Okay, now Prof, and throwing this to Dindo, all of you, what do you think of what happened yesterday sa isang bayan? On the one hand, I mean, that statement, and then first question pa lang sa press conference nila, teka muna, alam na ba ito ni VP Lenny? And then immediately, no categorical answer. And it really looked like Vice President Robredo was, frankly, compelled to come out with a statement that really said nothing and doesn't really come off as decisive, not reassuring. What was your impression of everything that happened yesterday with Isambayan?
I think at the end of the day, yung nangyari sa Isambayan, it's a reality that they wanted to bring different groups together. And maybe I can share that my understanding of events was that there was supposed to be a meeting, I think 2 Thursdays ago, that wanted to bring them together, but it was canceled. And suddenly there was an announcement of Isko with Willie Ong, then also Manny Pacquiao, mentioned I think Rafi Tulfo initially. So all those names or their moves, no. So VP Lenny on her part is consistent with her stand that she would like to unite. So maybe that's the reason why there was no exact answer on her end, because I still believe some of them think that there's still a possibility that she will not file her candidacy. So, and there's also that possibility that, especially with the statement of Willie Ong, that is open to sliding down to be senator also. So all those statements, you have to read between those statements of people, and that's why for me, a lot can still happen until those final list comes out. That's where the game really starts. At the end of the day, campaigning is on February. Actually, I just wanted to add with Dean Tony, I know of a data whereby Tito Soto in a shorter list beats President Duterte double digit.
Yeah.
Double digit.
Ganun kalaki,
Tito Soto is getting that boost. Can he sustain it? That's the challenge. And there's also a shorter list. Sara Duterte is beaten by Isko Moreno.
Yeah.
Pulse Asia.
Also by Pulse Asia. Yeah.
Yeah,
But when you say shorter list, that means mas kaunti yung choices ng candidates for the survey participants.
Yeah, possibly those who will file. Those who will file. Unlike what was officially brought out by Pulse Asia is a long list because it's speculation. But of course, campaigns are coming up with strategy, and I've seen those data, and it's confirmed that coming from Pulse Asia, it's commissioned survey, so it's part of the strategy of certain people. Even in tandem, it's really a Bongbong and Sara is not as strong as people think. It's just that Isko needs a stronger vice president, not Willie Ong. There were other names in those lists because I think everybody got surprised with his choice of Willie Ong. That's why maybe the statement yesterday of Willie Ong, that he can slide. Maybe it's an assessment time for some camps.
I agree, no?
Oy.
If I can come in, I agree with
Yeah, go ahead.
And I think, again, with VP Lenny, she's actually been the most consistent, not just about unifying, but also about her criteria for running, which is twofold. One, can she win? And related to that, obviously, if she can't win and she runs, will she diminish the chance of someone else to win against the Duterte Marcos candidacy? So that's something I think she has not fully answered yet, and we'll have to answer in the next couple of days. But clearly, this new data that we have, including the one that Dindo has pointed out, what we're sure of is in the starting line, Scott Moreno would be in a strong position, especially if there are fewer candidates. Again, whether she can sustain that or not is not clear. I wouldn't be overconfident because, as you know, given that Sara Duterte, if she's the ultimate candidate, will be the administration candidate, there's always that 5-10% sort of push that they can get from the machinery. Although there's a caveat there that I will say in a few minutes. But I think Isko, if he wants to win, needs the opposition vote. He's not opposition, and I will be very clear about that. In the same way that Manny Pacquiao is not opposition, and Isko is really saying that he's not opposition, that he's trying to get the middle and trying to be a healing president, etc., which is fine. And I actually like that, to be honest, because I'm kind of sick also of the kind of politics we've had since Arab's time. I'm an FBR person, which is a unifying president. I want that of the president. I just dislike what Arab, GMA, Pinoy, and Duterte has done to this country. So I like that approach. But he needs the opposition vote to get over the top.
Pero
He
Prof,
needs the 10 or 15% of the opposition to get over the top.
Pero Prof, can I ask you there, actually all three of you, klaro ba sa tao kung ano ang opposition at importante ba sa kanila kung sino ang tatawag na opposition? Kasi there are those who also say na anybody who runs against the administration bet is therefore an opposition. So may ganun eh. It depends on how we
Pero
define
opposition
opposition.
is yung main position mo ng main reason mo for running is to be against Duterte, di ba? Yun yung talaga yung main you define yourself as an anti-Duterte candidate, no, which is Isko Moreno does not, or nor does Manny Pacquiao or even Ping Lacson does. I mean, but I would say that Vice President Robredo as kind of defined by definition, di ba? Siya talaga kung opposition candidate, siya talaga yung opposition candidate. But the question is, can that win elections now? Can that win national election? That perspective. And my view is that it won't. Kung yun ang dala-dala niya, she really has to move to the middle, di ba? But can she?
But will she do that? Yeah.
She's capable of doing that naman. Magaling naman si
No, will she?
pero
I
teka,
think is the question.
But her people do that? That's the question.
Yeah, will her supporters do that?
Teka muna.
Diba?
Mga profs, I just wanna clear the table here. Ilalahat ko na lahat ng pangalan. Pinag-uusapan pa ba natin dito si Senator Bongo at saka Sonny Trillanes?
Hindi na siguro dapat pinag-uusapan at this time.
Ang lupit naman niyo, sir. Hindi pa nga nagpa-file eh.
Very clear na mga dapat nating bantayan dyan. Si Mayor Sara, Mayor Isko, VP Lenny, but as I've said, VP Lenny can suddenly swing and be part of a broader coalition if she decides otherwise. Nandyan si Senator Ping. He got a bump from the latest survey, but not strong enough to really be maybe a major player. Question really si Bongbong, but I really don't see Bongbong fighting Mayor Sara Duterte. Either they team up or somebody goes up or down. No? So yun lang dapat ang pinag-usapan. Of course, Senator Manny Pacquiao, but not as strong as we see a decline since last year. So if you track these things, and so dun tayo dapat mag-focus. Ang pinaka-ideal sa isang, let's not use the word opposition, alternative to the candidate of the president is one that can bring other people together. And again, I've seen numbers that pag isa lang ang kalaban ni Mayor Sara, they're beaten double digit. Sara Duterte is beaten double digit.
Importante yung double digits kailangan eh.
Sino yun?
Oo,
Kalinaw naman ata
Pero
eh.
bang bulong, ibulong.
Local government official at saka it's a very recent data.
Okay. Okay. Itago natin sa pangalan.
Okay.
Hindi, wag na. Sige. Wag na. Prof, tayo.
Baka sabihin na naman you don't like him or like him.
Nilabas naman yung commission survey na yon eh. Na,
He did not commission it himself. So very independent yung tanong, I think exploring. So I saw a glimpse of it and it's came from Pulse Asia. It's a legitimate data.
Factor pa rin ba yung yung sinabi ni VP Lenny na lalabanan niya si Bongbong Marcos pag tumakbo si Bongbong? Factor pa rin ba yun? Do you think?
Maari namang hindi. It's just that siyempre si Senator Bongbong patuloy na ina-announce na siya nanalo in YouTube Yung I think that irritates the Vice President every time you see those fake narrative in YouTube. So that's why the statement came out that way. She was reacting more to that.
Yeah.
Let's begin, Professor tayo.
Yeah.
Well, marami na napag-usapan. Ang number one factor pa din for them to consider would be numbers. And that's the incontrovertible consideration for any candidate for that matter. Kaya nga kanina, tinanong nyo kung pinag-uusapan pa si Senator Trillanes and Senator Bongo, ang sagot simple is, hindi na. No? Although siguro gusto pa ni Senator Trillanes pag-usapan siya, so pwede naman pag-usapan yun. No? But not really if he can still figure in any serious consideration for presidency or even vice presidency for that matter. So, dalawa lang talaga ang lumalabas na talagang maglalaban dito. No? Both local chief executives, no? Davao City Mayor Inday Sara and Isko Moreno. No? Pero marami pang pwedeng mangyari. If there's anything that I would differ in terms of views already propounded, I tend to agree, as I was quite surprised of the choice of Yorme Isko for Dr. Willie Ong. We have to remember that out of virtually nowhere, Dr. Willie Ong made it to a respectable finish in 2019.
Number 18.
In fact, hindi man lang siya nangampanya actually, social media lang yan, but it brought him serious numbers. And marami pang mangyari between now and May 2022. So everyone was expecting Senator Grace Poe to be the running mate of Mayor Isko, but it seems that they changed tact and strategy and opted for Dr. Willie Ong. So ganun din dito, siguro gustong tapatan ni Manny Pacquiao yung surprise din na dating local chief executive and now buhay party list Lito Atienza to be the vice president. So, as for Mayor Inday, I maintain it will not be it will not help her if she goes for Bongbong Marcos as running mate. Maraming bagahe si Senator Bongbong Marcos. Wala pang closure dyan sa martial law. Ngayon nga, pag tinanong mo Yamashita Treasure, biglang, may iba palang pinanggalingan ng riches sila, yung mga Marcoses. So, sa akin,
Italiano pa.
Sirang plaka na So parang niloloko lang natin yung mga Pilipino. Ang dami nang nasulat dyan, hindi lang naman yung yellow sources kuno ang nagsulat na meron diktadurya, meron talagang desaparecidos, meron talagang pag-abuso. So, wag naman ganon. Sana wag ganon ang maging narrative going into this election.
Pero sir,
I want to get back to something that Tony, Tony, I want to get back to something that you said about Isko Moreno. Na hindi naman pinapangalanda ka naman ni Isko Moreno Middle ako, hindi ako opposition, hindi ako admin. Hindi ko naman kiniklaim na opposition ako. But you're saying also that's an important message because there are people who are looking for that kind of politics. Call it healing, call it centrist or whatever you want. But that potentially gets votes. No, but my question is, where does that put the potential narratives and maneuvering room of Vice President Leni Robredo, whether she runs against Isko or she runs on a unity ticket with Isko? Can she carry that kind of a message?
Yeah, no. Well, yes. I mean, I think mismo si VP Robredo in the way she's worked, for example, sa VP dito sa pandemic, hindi naman siya opposition, di ba? In fact, she reaches out to everyone. It's just that she has been sort of cornered and what do you call this? painted that way. So I don't think that's, if she's not the head of the ticket, that's very easy to do. But this is very important. That's my point. My point is that ISCO might go very far, and it's going very far now with that messaging and being in the middle and truly, because that's also consistent with how he's been governing. But that might not take him to the finish line, di ba? Unless he also brings the opposition vote. So kailangan din nandun yung part na yan. Siyempre kung siya ang candidate, mahirap minsan mag-shift. But you can see that, he's very smart. He attacks Duterte without talking about Duterte. Di ba? Very clear naman yung kanyang mga positions on the pandemic, on rule of law. Yan, he's been banging on that a lot. Rule of law, rule of law, rule of law. So clear naman yan na he knows that, di ba? But if VP Lenny, they partner with VP Lenny as the vice, then VP Lenny is the typical, di ba, vice presidential candidate, will be the attacker, di ba? Will be the one that will be attacking Now your hope there, alam mo, VP Lenny will also have an uphill climb as VP kasi hindi naman hindi nila pinapol for some reason, hindi nila lagay, parang hindi ko na, DINDO nilalagay ba nila si
No.
as VP? Wala.
No.
Actually, no. Di ba? We actually don't know. But I think people will appreciate that she's been a good VP. But mapupull up siya by ISCO. And therefore, she has a chance of winning, di ba? Although I'm just saying that Tito Soto...
Against Tito Soto.
Kaya nga, just saying that Tito Soto is formidable. Tanggapin na natin yon, di ba? Number 1 ata or number 2 for all the senatorial elections ni Tito, di ba? So, medyo yon. That's probably why Grace po, Ed, I think Grace, he was asked several times. On the record naman yon. ISCO called him a number of times, even at last ditch. So that's why Ong is really last minute. But dahil doktor, may value din si Ong for the campaign. I mean, and especially if they win. But ang problema naman nila ngayon kay Dr. Ong, he doesn't really know much about anything else. Kung VP ka, di ba? You have to know a lot of things also kasi ikaw yung
Hindi lang pwedeng pandemic and health.
Diba?
Yes. True.
So yun ang magiging problem. They have to brief him a lot. Pagdating ng debate, he can really just destroy himself by answering questions that he doesn't, di ba? That doesn't make, in a way that doesn't make sense.
I'll add something kay Dr. Willie, no? True, sabi nga ni Professor Ed, na relatively he did well. But we were voting for Senate, where we vote 1 to 12.
Yeah,
And
so
you're
true.
facing now Tito Soto or Bongbong Marcos. So what will you bring to the ticket? Yun ang tingin ko lang kay Dr. Willie Ong. But I still believe, baka magulat tayo at Anisco, Tito Soto might suddenly come together on November 15. That's also a possibility. Or VP Lenny bringing them together.
Yes.
Kasi kasama naman sa mga pag-uusap. Pero all speculating, yes, I'm said. But that's a
Akala ko may alam ka na bigla ko na paupo talaga.
Well,
Meron naman ako
the only reason din na I'm talking about this, mismo nanggaling naman kay Senator Pangilinan na baka, di ba, baka, hindi naman na, the VP Lenny might also be considering VP, di ba? There was a statement yesterday by yun.
Yeah.
That's the only one. But I would have seen that makes sense. I mean, the other thing that would make sense for VP Lenny, in my view, is he needs to secure the LP senatorial candidates to a better place. To be honest, these 5 candidates are really good senators or comebacking senators or Chel Jokno as a new senator. These are very good men, and women, but they are not in very good place, diba, in terms of the polling right now. So they need to be in a ticket that is competitive at the top, diba? And she should be able to negotiate that kung ano man na yung kasi otherwise ma-8 direction na naman yung mga yon, diba? Sayang naman. Those are very good people.
So, teka, last question na lang. So, how should we read Isang Bayan then? Are they really a force the way they had planned to be?
They try to bring people together. That was their objective. But at the end of the day, as I've told them that, it's the decision of these candidates will matter. But a year ago, at this time, nobody believed that these candidates would be talking to one another, and it reached a certain stage. They were. That's why, for me, until November 15, they can still be talking to each other.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's too early
Because
to
Grace,
judge.
like Senator Grace Poe is saying that I'm for Isko, but I'm for Tito Soto. So that's a very powerful statement. I'm not running. I'm not interested. But a lot of people don't realize that there's bonding in the Senate. One of the closest supporters, like Grace Poe, Frank Trilon, they work well together. So these are things that can happen, no? Beyond what we see.
Yeah.
So there might still be a lot of movements. That's why hindi rin makagalaw siguro sila Mayor Sara or the Duterte camp. No? So they never expected na nag-uusap pala to. So may posibilidad pa rin.
Okay. Professor Ed, let's let you have the last word before we close the weekend, close into the weekend.
Same thing, as I've said, marami pang pwedeng mangyari, no? Starting with the filing of candidacies this first week of October. So marami pang surprises dyan. So to speak, yung kanina sinabi ni Prof. Dindo na kombinasyon, no? Baka merong ganyang sorpresa nga na mangyari parang 2015. Now, yung difficulty, no, to have all the so-called opposition figures, no? Sa atin naman kasi mahirap i-define talaga ano yung opposition, ano yung administrasyon. Kasi nga, yung sistema natin talagang personalistic na yung taong tingin natin, di ba na? In fact, pati sa alliances, ang pinag-uusapan, kaninong posisyon yung ibibigay mo, ganito. Spoil system lang yung basihan ng alliances. Pag kami nanalo na, nalilimutan niyang kung kaninong spoils pupunta After 1 year, nababago na yun. Wala pa nga 1 year, nababago na yung pinag-usapan. So, sa politika, meron din tinatawag na timing. Kung natatandaan natin 2010 hanggang 2016, the name GMA has not been really a plus as far as national politics is concerned. So siguro kailangan ding i-consider yon kasi the past administration's reputation has really been damaged, no? Significantly. And so parang Marcos, para sa akin, kaya lagi ko sasabi, tapos na yung time ng yellow and red, no? So we're now looking more at new names and new faces. So if you're able to communicate something really new, and consistently, no, the voters have chosen, a message that is new and a person that is new, then I suppose you will have the advantage na come May 2022.
Okay. Well, maraming salamat kay Professor Dindo, Professor Tony, at Professor Ed. Thank you for making sense of this very colorful week, and thank you for bringing gravitas to the circus.
Thank you.
Maraming salamat.
Fiesta, not circle.
Okay, fiesta na,
Maraming
fiesta.
salamat po.
Gravitas to the fiesta. Thank you very much. Ingat po.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Maraming salamat po.
That'll be all for this weekend edition of The Chiefs. We hope what was discussed here will keep the conversation going. Now, before we go, a reminder to our viewers, mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. I'm Ed Lingao.
I'm Lucy Cruz Valdez of News 5.
I'm Robbie Alampay, and we are One News.